Hi guys, a very good afternoon. कैसा चल रहा है सब? How was your weekend? एक नंबर। चलो बढ़िया है भाई। बोरिंग। बढ़िया है बढ़िया है। I conducted the mentorship calls yesterday for my groups. कोई भी नहीं आया था भाई। कुछ शर्म लिहाज बचा ही नहीं बचा। छुट्टी है तो you won't even attend a 30 minutes call. इतना भी रेस्ट नहीं करना था खुशी। ठीक है ठीक है। यस प्रियांशु आप आए थे, बिल्कुल आए थे, पर आप बाहर घूम रहे थे इसलिए आपको चाहिए था कि सुबह 11 बजे कॉल हो। ठीक है चलो कोई बात नहीं है। All right. Any doubts, any concerns before we start for today? Also pen paper भी please लेकर बैठेंगे, है ना? We'll keep pens and papers also ready today. Okay. No worries, Priyanshu. I hope she'll recover soon. So Papiya Das, today we are going to discuss questions on fundamental rights. So it's not advisable that if you have not read them, you be a part of the class today. You can use this time to complete the backlogs and then come back to this class whenever you're done with fundamental rights. अगर संडे को भी बैकलॉग पूरा नहीं हो रहा है सानवी तो कब होगा? संडे को कौन सा कॉलेज एग्जाम होता है यार? All right. A very good afternoon and okay सोनू जी और कुछ? All right then, a very good evening. I welcome you all to the PYQ session on fundamental rights. We'll be taking around 22 questions today, and let's get quickly started. We'll give you 1 minute for each question, and then you'll have to answer. Please only answer the chat box once you've read. All others who have not read the answer question and answered yet, please do not read the chat box. Do not be influenced by what the answers are. There's no hard and fast rule that आपको सही ही करना है. So that's okay. अपनी मर्जी से थोड़ा टाइम लेकर करेंगे. We'll give you 1 minute for each question. ठीक है? Done. कोई नहीं आदित्य, आप आगे से कंटिन्यू करेंगे और जो जब जब टाइम मिलेगा तो पीछे करते हुए चलेंगे. On that note, let's quickly get started with question number 1 for 1 minute. And your timer starts now. I think सबको दिख रहा है स्क्रीन पे अच्छे से? कोई कुछ छुपा तो नहीं हुआ? है ना? ठीक है then. We'll get started with question number 1. All right. I think we're done with the first question. I see a lot of C's in the answer, but पता नहीं किसने D भी किया हुआ है, किसने B भी किया हुआ है. Let's quickly read it. So the first question says, consider the following statements. Statement number 1, the Supreme Court of India has held in some judgments that the reservation policies made under Article 16 Clause 4 of the Constitution of India would be limited by Article 335 for the maintenance of efficiency of administration. आई थिंक वी डायरेक्टली टुक इट अप इन द क्लासेस दैट आर्टिकल 16 क्लॉज 4 में जो उसकी बात होती है रिजर्वेशंस की, पॉजिटिव इन्फॉर्मेशंस की, ऑल ऑफ दैट is limited to article 335 which talks about administrative efficiency. And then we also saw how various subsequent Supreme Court rulings and judgments put out some criteria as to define what efficient might mean. Does anyone remember the case? There were two cases. Any case, any one case out of which? Very good. Good, Shikhar. So this statement becomes absolutely correct. There's no doubt about it. Once this statement becomes correct, this statement goes away. Right? ठीक है. Let's quickly read the second case. The second case is Article 335 of the Constitution of India defines the term efficiency of administration. We know that the article does not define the term efficiency of administration. That is why Supreme Court had to come out with a lot of judgments and then decide the 50% cap as meaning efficiency of administration. So of course Constitution does not define it. Also मैंने आपको 10 बार क्लास में बता रखा है कि जब भी Constitution में defines है तो you'll have to be a lot careful because 99% of the times this is wrong. And so is the case here. This was a very, very recent question in 2023, and the second statement goes away. And the beauty about these questions is that once you find any statement as wrong, you directly arrive at the answer. So statement 2 incorrect, statement 1 correct, and the answer comes C. Even if you did not know, or you were not sure about 1, but you were sure about 2, you would have arrived at the answer correctly. In this case, the answer becomes statement or option C. All right. Yes. Yes or a no? Yes. Very good. On that note, let's move on to question number 2. Discuss this, I think, yes, in the last class only. Your timer starts now. Very good. I don't know why a lot of us are getting it wrong. We discussed this in the last class itself. With reference to the writs issued by the courts in India, consider the following statement. Courts are High Court and Supreme Court. Supreme Court under Article 32. High Courts under Article 226. Now, one question before we move on to the question. Can any other court issue writs in India? If yes, then how? Can any other court apart from Supreme Court and High Court issue writs in India? And if yes, how? Very good. If Parliament so allows, and Parliament will decide as to which all court can exercise those writs. Very good. Amazing. So let's quickly move on to the question. The first statement: mandamus will not lie against a private organization unless it is stretches of the public duty. Absolutely correct. You know, mandamus is to command. We command, co-mandamus. And when you have we command, you can only command a public official for a constitutionally mandated duty. So it will not lie against a private and register the public duty. Absolutely correct. So this option goes away. This was a very, very dicey option, which we even discussed in the class, that although prima facie this seems that not being correct, but UPSC considered it correct, understanding that company को वो Companies Act में मान रहे होंगे, and then any such company which is in the Companies Act will not be a government company anyway. So mandamus will not lie against the company, even though it may be a government company. Although prima facie this statement seems wrong, that anything which comes under the government should be applicable, but because talking about the word company with a capital C, and then UPSC has officially come out with the answer also, they considered this statement is correct. We discussed it in the class as well, that this should be wrong, but the statement was considered correct by UPSC. Then we also discussed how Surkotada, horse remains, and then Prime Minister, the annual financial budget, all of them have been treated correctly with the UPSC. So we'll take that as a precedent for the next year, right? So this becomes correct. Third is something which is very easy. आप मेरे को जल्दी से बता दो. Any public minded person can be petitioned to move the court. What is this called? What is the word for this? Any public minded person can be petitioned to move to the court. Which word? What is the singular word for this? No. Yes. And it's not even locus standi. It's a relaxation of the principle of locus standi. एक आदमी ने PI लिखा तो सबने PI लिखना शुरू किया. It's relaxation of principle of locus standi. Locus standi बोलता है any public minded person cannot move to the court, and any public minded person can move to the court would be relaxation of locus standi, right? Right. That being said, what are the two kinds of writs where the locus standi is relaxed, or which are an exception to the locus standi? What are the two kinds of writs? Very good. Quo warranto and habeas corpus. And we are talking about quo warranto, so this also becomes correct. And the answer becomes option D, 1, 2, and 3. Although the option would have been C, but of course UPSC being UPSC, the answer came out with the official answer as D for Delhi, which is 1, 2, and 3. So we'll consider this for all the future brevity purposes. Any doubts? Any doubts? Very good. Let's quickly move on to the third question then. It's a very easy one. I'll still give you 1 minute for it, but it's a very easy one to crack. Already discussed in the class again. Let's move to question number 3. All right. Before we proceed with the question, let's talk about some things around right to property. क्या क्या पता है आपको right to property के around? What all do you know around right to property? Quickly, let me know. Quickly. What all do we know about right to property? Jaldi, jaldi. From the history to the present. Okay. As on today, it's as a part of Article 300 and 300A. Okay. 300A, that's it. It's a legal right under 300A, removed from fundamental right by 44th Constitutional Amendment. कौन सी राइट्स हटाया था? कौन सी राइट्स थी? आर्टिकल 31 एंड आर्टिकल 19(1) कौन सा था? एंड बाय द 44th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1978. By virtue of it being in Article 300, it's also a constitutional right, and all constitutional rights are also legal rights, so it's also a legal right. Right? Before that, it was a fundamental right, but it was removed from fundamental rights by the 44th Constitutional Amendment 19(1)(f). Very good. All right, then. Anything else? So this is all about right to property. Can be regulated by ordinary law, of course. Right. Very good. So now, neither fundamental right nor legal right goes away because it is a legal right. Fundamental right available to citizens goes away again because it's not a fundamental right anymore. Legal right, yes. Legal right, yes. Available to citizens only and available to any person. This only talks about ordinary law by the parliament, by virtue of which it nowhere mentioned that it's exclusive to citizens only. We read 15, 16, 18 subclause 2, 19, 29, and 30 as being exclusive to citizens. But these are fundamental rights. Any which way we also discussed in the class. An example as to how there are a lot of multinational corporations, बहुत सारे MNCs होते हैं जिनके owners are not Indians, right? So the legal right is available to any person in India, which is the right to property. Answer becomes option number B. It's not A because we have also considered how a lot of non-citizens can also buy property in India. This is again something that we took up in the classes already. I am hoping that you're liking how you're able to solve previous year questions very easily. Yes, yes or no? Yes, it's a constitutional right. Very good. Because it's mentioned in the Constitution. But all constitutional rights are also legal rights, so it also becomes a legal right. Yes. Please read this question carefully. I repeat, please read this question carefully. Let's get started. Except for Pavan, Akansha, Ritika, and Nikita, and Hari, and Anu, and Khushi, no one has arrived at the correct answer out of the 150, 160 people we are seeing live right now, and Ragini as well. All right. The first and foremost thing was I asked you to read the question carefully. The only reason behind it was not correct. A lot of you read statement 1. आपको लगा statement 1 गलत है, आपने eliminate किया और सब B की तरफ पहुंच गए, which is not the right answer because the question itself is asking not correct. तो सबसे पहला red flag ये that we are not reading the question properly. है ना? ठीक है. Statement 1, Bharat Ratna and Padma awards are titles under the Article 81 of the Constitution of India. Absolutely not. We discussed this in the class as well. Okay, so now tell me if they are not titles, then what can be done about it? There was something specific around Bharat Ratna and Padma awardees, right? क्या था वो? क्या था? They are not titles, but they are awards. That's okay. So now accepting Bharat Ratna and Padma awards is fine. They are not titles under Article 81 of the Constitution of India. That's okay. Yes, very good, Shikhar. That they cannot be used as a prefix or a suffix in your name. You cannot say Bharat Ratna Dhruv Jain, Padma Awardee Dhruv Jain, right? But you can always accept them as awards and not titles. That is why the first statement becomes wrong and this goes away because you're talking about not correct. Okay. Second, Padma Awards, which were instituted in the year 1954, were suspended only once. Not too sure, nahi bhi padha hai, although we did cover it in our content. I asked you to read at home, jo hamare content mein tha, because, but again, we'll be very honest, we included it because it has been already asked. Such kind of questions are never expected to be asked. All of this can only happen via MAD. MAD के MCQ aptitude development, वो क्या कहता है कि ये इस ईयर में तो आए थे, but they are suspended only once. Now, they can be suspended 0 times. हो सकता है suspend ही ना हो. They can be suspended 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So the probability of them being suspended one time is very, very low, right? 1 out of almost infinite, which means that this has high chances of being wrong. unless and until आप sure हो, unless and until you are sure that this is the exact answer. Now, because you're not sure, so we'll also consider this as incorrect. As a matter of fact, they were suspended not only once, so around Morarji Desai's time in around 77, and then after that also they were suspended once. I'm not too sure, I think twice or thrice. Twice at least I'm sure about, because some conditions are prevailing. First, Morarji Desai government did not accept such kind of awards. They said that they are biased or something. And then the second time there was some sort of an emergency. But at least twice, so this statement becomes wrong. Again, not as important to know, but because it has been asked, so we'll discuss. Although the awards are distributed in this year itself. So second statement also goes away. And then we are now left with 1 and 2 or 1, 2 and 3, because we are talking about not correct. Third, the number of Bharat Ratna award is restricted to a maximum of 5 in a particular year. कि आप maximum 5 awards दे सकते हो. सही है या गलत है? Is this right or wrong? Very good. This also becomes wrong, because we've discussed it in the class that the maximum number of times is restricted to a 3. Although it was given 5 in 2024, but still that was an exception, as on paper it is restricted to a number of 3 times. Plus, agar ye bhi nahi pata to again mad lagayenge. 5 is a number which has a probability of going wrong most of the times, unless and until you know it exactly. So this also will consider as incorrect, and their answer would be option D. 1, 2 and 3 we are talking about not correct. All right. मैंड इज एमसीक्यू एप्टीट्यूड डेवलपमेंट कि अगर आपको किसी क्वेश्चन पे नॉलेज नहीं है तो आप उसको एमसीक्यू नॉलेज के थ्रू कैसे सॉल्व करोगे ना. एमसीक्यूज कैसे सॉल्व होते हैं, वी विल डेवलप दैट ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स एज वेल. इट्स वन ऑफ आवर फ्लैगशिप सीरीज दैट वी कंडक्ट एट अंडरस्टैंड यूपीएससी फॉर प्रीलिम्स. क्योंकि एट मैक्स आपको किसी भी पेपर में इवन द मोस्ट वेल रेड ऑफ एस्पिरेंट्स नो नॉट मोर देन 30 to 35 क्वेश्चंस आउट ऑफ 100 बाय नॉलेज. उसके अलावा मैथ टेक्निक से लानी पड़ती है, उसको थोड़ा थोड़ा मैं इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहा हूँ. ठीक है, ओके, वेरी गुड रितिका. ठीक है. The answer becomes option D. I'm assuming that you have no doubts here. Let's quickly move on to question number 5, which is asked in 2021. Thank you, Soumya. Okay. Skip करा बहुत सारे लोगों ने. All right. When a prisoner makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his own right. Now you are saying कि prisoner की parole एक right होती है, तो जब भी prisoner आपसे parole मांगेगा तो आप उसको deny नहीं कर सकते हो अगर उसने sufficient case को present किया तो. The problem here is that do you know that prisoners की even right to vote को हम रोक लेते हैं, which is the universal adult franchising, because they are prisoners. Understanding that you are taking away the basic essence of democracy also, then do you think that any other right can be a specific right for them? Especially एक prisoner की ऐसी right जिसको बोले कि मेरे को बाहर जाना है वहां से. Parole means that आपको you're suspending the sentence, right? Suspension of sentence for a while. Would that be a right? No, definitely not. अगर आप बहुत ही एंटी सबवर्सिव और बहुत ही एंटी नेशनल आदमी थे और आप we feel that you will cause harm, more harm than good than going outside, so we can always deny you that. So it is never a matter of right. अब यहाँ पे क्या मैड लगेगा? Also learn mad here that whenever UPSC is trying to extrapolate on explanations, it is trying to explain anything extra by giving you reasoning, they are trying to make it definitely wrong. क्यों? यूपीएससी को क्या करना है कि अपना क्वेश्चन हमेशा 100% रॉन्ग बनाना है. अगर कोई स्टेटमेंट को रॉन्ग बनाना है तो कोई पॉसिबिलिटी नहीं बनने बचनी चाहिए उसे हो जाए, वरना कोर्ट केस होगा उन पे. सो दैट इज व्हाई to make a statement completely wrong, they give a lot of explanations. For example, here, when a prisoner makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied. अब ये बोल सकते थे आप, because it becomes a matter of his or right. ये explanation जो होती है ना, ज्यादा explain जो करते हैं, वो जानबूझकर करते हैं ताकि वो completely statement गलत बन सके, right? Because we know that parole is not right. Now, sufficient case का मतलब है कि अगर वो explain कर सके कि मेरा reason जिसकी वजह से मेरे को parole चाहिए वो valid है, right? Sufficient case meaning that the reason that they want the parole to be given for should be valid, and they have made out a good case saying that we want to go out anyway, right? Okay, so now Pragya is asking what about pregnant women? Pragya, so now you'll have to read on something known as furlough. Furloughh. So that's an homework. Please write it down in your notes and read furlough, and then come back to me with the difference between parole and furlough. So the homework is read on furlough, read on parole, and then read on the difference between the both. Also, let me know whether this will be a matter of right or not. Okay, Pragya, will we be able to do that? And this is our whole class, furlough versus parole. ठीक है? इसी में आपको पढ़ाई देगा कि कोई सस्पेंशन करता है सेंटेंस का, कोई रेमिशन करता है. ठीक है, तो ये भी पढ़कर आएंगे. वील ऑल्सो रीड ऑन दिस. व्हाट डज सस्पेंशन मीन, व्हाट डज रेमिशन मीन, फर्लो राइट है या नहीं है. And if you don't understand anything, you can reach out in our groups, or we can take it up in the next class in the chat box. You let me know. Right? All right. Can we do this? Can we read on furlough? Okay. Thank you. Let's read the. So first statement becomes wrong, and A and C goes away. Let's read the second statement. Second statement says that when a prisoner, state governments have their own rules, own prisoners release on parole rules. क्या ये सही होगा या गलत होगा? जल्दी से बताओ. What do you think? सही होगा. क्यों? Why do you think this is correct? अब किसी ने भी prisoners release on parole rules तो नहीं पढ़े होंगे, फिर ये नहीं पढ़ा होगा कि वो स्टेट के पास होता है नहीं होता, तो ये कैसे सही माना आप लोगों ने? Why? मतलब what is the reasoning behind it? So this is exactly what I was saying, that it is only MCQ aptitude and reasonings that will help you arrive at an answer. Very good. RD. Yes, yes. Because you know that law and order is a state list subject. अब prisoner, prison वगैरह तो law and order के अंदर आएंगे, तो that definitely becomes a part of state list. So prison and everything is also becoming a part of state list. And if it is a part of state list, then the rules can always be framed by states and they will vary. So this becomes absolutely correct. So answer becomes B, 2 only. Moreover, apart from this logical deduction, always know for MCQ aptitude development, one very important fact around MAD is that whenever UPSC statement is state centric, स्टेट विद अ स्मॉल एस, फेडरलिज्म की अगर वो बात कर रहा है, स्टेट सेंट्रिसिटी की बात कर रहा है, स्टेट को एम्पावर करने की बात कर रहा है, so 99% of the times it is correct. Okay, it always tries to show the powers of states in their options, and this is something that we have seen over course of years that UPSC has been following. It's just a sort of a hint for you to get alert कि अब ये स्टेट के बारे में पूछा तो थोड़ा हम यहाँ पे ध्यान देंगे. यूजुअली स्टेट सेंट्रिक होता है और फेडरल फीचर्स, डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन, इन सबको वो फेवर करता है. ठीक है, तो उस लियो में भी वी टॉकिंग अबाउट द पावर्स ऑफ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, सो दिस बिकम्स करेक्ट एंड आंसर बिकम्स बी, ऑप्शन 2 ओनली. ऑलराइट, एनी डाउट्स? ये नोट डाउन करते हुए चलेंगे प्लीज, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. ठीक, क्वेश्चन 6, वन क्वेश्चन जो मैंने पढ़ाते हुए डिस्कस किया था, बताया भी था PYQ है. अब देखते हैं हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू गेट इट राइट. And let's get started with question number 6. Okay, sure. So the previous classes are on the new app for recordings. We have conveyed it a lot of times in the classes as well. And you can read the announcement groups on how to download the new app. Again, the answer to this question is option A, Article 14. Let's quickly read it. A legislation that confers on the executive or administrative authority an unguided and uncontrolled discretionary power in the matter of the application of law violates which of the following articles of the Constitution of India. ऐसी लेजिस्लेशन जो एग्जीक्यूटिव को या एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अथॉरिटी को बहुत ज्यादा पावरफुल बनाती है इन द मैटर ऑफ एप्लीकेशन ऑफ लॉ, जो बोलती है कि जब हम लॉ अप्लाई कर रहे हैं, व्हाइल अप्लाइंग लॉ you have a lot of discretionary powers. Now, in that lieu, let's read the question. What is Article 44? Does anyone know what is Article 44? Very good. Article 44 is Uniform Civil Code. तो इससे तो कोई लेना देना नहीं है, तो ये चला गया. D is out. What is Article 28? Article 28 is around 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 and 30. So 28 is around. Very good. Attendance to religious institutions wala. Last part aata na, attendance wala. So this is again around religion, which has nothing to do with the question. So this also goes away. We are left with Article 14 and we are left with Article 32. A lot of you marked Article 32 as the answer. I don't know why. ये मैंने क्लास में डिस्कस किया था. We are talking about while applying law. If you have a law which confers on the executive a lot of arbitrary powers, it violates which one of the following articles? Violates which one of the following articles? What is Article 32? What is Article 32? Exactly बताओ क्या क्या right है इसमें? What does Article 32 say? Right to exact right बताओ ना. Right to writs नहीं, right बताओ. Go to courts हो गया ना एक तरीके से. That you're allowed to go to courts. या फिर यह राइट की कोर्ट्स will rule to protect your fundamental rights. ये आर्टिकल 32 है. Now the question says that a legislation which does this violates which one of the following articles? Does such a legislation stop you from going to court? क्या ऐसी legislation आपको कोर्ट जाने से रोकती है? हाँ या ना? आप कोर्ट तो किसी भी लेजिस्लेशन पे जा सकते हो, तो जो ऐसी लेजिस्लेशन है उस पे तो जा ही सकते हो. तो आर्टिकल 32 तो वायलेट नहीं हुआ, बिकॉज आर्टिकल 32 सेज दैट यू कैन गो टू कोर्ट्स, है ना. सो वायलेट तो नहीं हुआ ना, कहीं पे भी ये तो नहीं लिखा ना इस लेजिस्लेशन में कि आप कोर्ट नहीं जा सकते. तो आर्टिकल 32 कैसे वायलेट हो रहा था, नहीं समझ में आया. सी आल्सो गोस अवे. लेट्स रीड 14. आर्टिकल 14 टॉक्स अबाउट इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ एंड इक्वल प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लॉ. इट ऑल्सो टॉक्स अबाउट रूल ऑफ लॉ. रूल ऑफ लॉ में अलग अलग फीचर्स होते थे. इक्वालिटी बिफोर लॉ कहता है कि सब लॉ के सामने इक्वल है। तो एक ऐसा लॉ जो किसी को अनइक्वल बना रहा है बाय गिविंग इट मोर पावर्स व्हिच आर आर्बिट्ररी becomes unequal. It means that it violates equality before law, and before it violates equality before law, it violates Article 14. समझ में आया? इसी को हमने पढ़ा था डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ एंटी आर्बिट्ररीनेस, ये हम पढ़ भी चुके हैं अंडर आर्टिकल 14 ओनली बाय द एग्जीक्यूटिव। वही क्वेश्चन में है। ऑलराइट, तो इतनी डिटेल में आपको हर क्वेश्चन को एनालिसिस करके पढ़ना है। Nowadays a lot of conceptual questions are being asked, so you'll have to analyze each and every option in detail and not just randomly through देखा तो वो कर दिया। ठीक है, बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट जाती हैं चीजें। ऑल्सो प्लीज रिमेंबर, कभी भी आंसर आपको पॉलिटी में अगर ए दिख रहा है या फिर स्टार्टिंग में मिल गया तो याद रखेंगे चारों ऑप्शन अच्छे से डिटेल में पढ़ेंगे। ये यूजुअली पॉलिटी का ट्रैप होता है, बट यहाँ पे तो ए ही आंसर है, बट विल रीड ऑल द ऑप्शंस, विल ट्राई टू एलिमिनेट ऑल द अदर ऑप्शंस। क्वेश्चन 7 वेरी वेरी इजी, अपने दोस्त का भी एग्जांपल दिया था मैंने आपको यहाँ पे, तो है ना? श्योर। Right. So right to privacy is protected in which article of the Constitution of India? Option A, Article 15, option B, Article 19, option C, Article 21, and option D, Article 29. A very easy question. Quickly want your options in the chat box. I'm proud of our students who have even gone on to mention the case, which is the case with the Swami judgment. Right to privacy is intrinsic to Article 21, which talks about right to life and personal liberty. So, of course, privacy is personal liberty. हमने इस लाइफ पे भी बहुत सारी डिस्कशन करी थी। What does life mean? We discussed a lot on life as well. What does life mean according to Article 21 and various Supreme Court interpretations? What is this concept of life which was interpreted? Very good. Right to live with dignity and choice. And what are the two cases that we read on dignity and choice? Right to live a life with a choice of choice and dignity. Two cases. One is Menka Gandhi case, and the other one is, which also talked about due process of law, already discussed. And the second case is, किसी को याद है? Discuss this is a very important case for you to remember so that you can write different from others. Nahi. Very good, Ramesh. Francis Corral Mullen, right? Already discussed again. So very good. Answer becomes 21. 29 is against religion. 15 is always against discrimination. 19, of course, can be a part of it, freedom of speech and expression, but we've already discussed in the classes again that 19 becomes a subset to 21. So if 21 is there, always think about how this will encompass everything. Because if freedom of speech and expression, so example, another example of a thing which came in Article 19 and 21 both was, एक किसी को एग्जांपल याद है जो हमने क्लास में डिस्कस किया था, which came in both 19 and 21 apart from privacy? नहीं, राइट टू बी साइलेंट तो हमने 20, 22 और 21 में किया था, दैट्स सेपरेट। राइट टू मैरी नहीं था प्रियांशु, आपको उस दिन में डिस्कस किया था। राइट टू मैरी इज नॉट अ फंडामेंटल राइट, बट राइट टू मैरी अ पर्सन ऑफ वन्स ओन चॉइस, नो। ऑलराइट, किसी को याद नहीं है? वी टॉक्ड अबाउट आरटीआई, ट्रांसपेरेंसी, राइट टू इंफॉर्मेशन, right? Very good, Monica. Yes, RTI. Very good. Anyway, that being said, the answer here clearly becomes Article 21. That's an all-encompassing superset. So it's C. Nobody also went wrong. That was just a mere bit of my explanation because it's my duty to do so. So yes, good job on this question, everybody. Let's quickly move on to the question 8. From here, you'll see easier questions coming in, which are more of technical and rectification wale, not as conceptual as we have now started to see. Anyway, let's quickly get started with question 8 from 2022, 2020. Timer starts now. मैंने क्लासेस में बोला था, अभी भी समझाया था कि जब भी ऐसा लगे कि ऑप्शन ए आंसर है तो सारी ऑप्शंस को अच्छे से पढ़ेंगे. A lot of you have marked A, which is wrong. The answer is right equality. Let's quickly read this. Which one of the following categories of fundamental rights incorporates protections against untouchability as a form of discrimination? Okay. Untouchability is which article? Untouchability is which article? Quickly. This is also a revision class. It is? Very good. Article 17. We discussed how law removes all doubt. So law for 14, D for discrimination is 15, O for opportunities, which was 16, and then 17 is U, which is untouchability. ठीक है, तो आर्टिकल 17 हो गया. अब इनकी क्लासिफिकेशन कर लो जल्दी से. राइट अगेंस्ट एक्सप्लॉयटेशन कौन कौन से आर्टिकल्स में आती है? वेरी गुड. आर्टिकल्स 23 टू 24. तो इसलिए हम 2 मिनट एक्स्ट्रा लगाएंगे. विल थिंक मोर, विल राइट एवरीथिंग एंड देन सॉल्व. देयरफॉर ए विल गो अवे. राइट? अ लॉट ऑफ यू मार्क्ड ए, व्हिच इज रॉन्ग. फ्रीडम, राइट टू फ्रीडम. क्विकली टेल मी द आर्टिकल. Very good. 19 to 22, although I talked about 19 only, but yes, in standard books you can say 19 to 22. Again, this goes away. Option C, right to constitutional remedies. Article? Very good, ma'am. Article for right to constitutional remedies. Quickly. Article 32. Very good. And lastly, right to equality में कौन कौन से articles आते थे? Articles dash to dash. Very good. 14 to 18. And because we are talking about Article 17, we are matching it with option D, and option D becomes correct. Again, a trick where if you see option A, that is not necessarily the right answer. Apart from these classifications, we have right equality 14 to 18, then 19 to 22 freedom, then 23 to 24 exploitation, and 32 remedies. इसके अलावा कौन कौन सी बची? 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. What are the classifications for these? What are the classifications for these? एग्जैक्ट आर्टिकल्स के साथ बताओ सब रिलीजियस है. Very good. So 25 to 20 is freedom of religion, and 29 and 30 is cultural and educational rights. सिर्फ minority नहीं लिखेंगे, cultural and educational, and freedom of religion. Very good. Answer becomes option D. There's no doubt about it. Amazing. Question 9. अभी अभी मैंने गलती से आंसर लीक कर दिया था क्लास में. Let's quickly get this done for question 9. Your timer starts now. Again, something very easy, which of the article of the Constitution of Israel's rights to marry the person of one's own choice. 19 talks about certain other freedoms. 25 is again around religion. 29 is around minority section of citizens. So answer becomes Article 21, right to life and personal liberty, except in accordance with procedure established by law. All of that is separately discussed, due process law and everything. But here again, one's right to marry the person of one's choice. सिर्फ right to marry नहीं है. क्यों नहीं है? अगर ये right to marry होता तो मैं कोर्ट के पास जाता और बोलता सर मेरे को लड़की नहीं मिल रही, प्लीज लड़की दिलवा दो. That's my right because I want to marry. But this is not the case. You can marry the person of one's own choice. Why was this included? Because there are a lot of caste-based marriages which are not allowed, intercaste, within caste we alag subgroups, then religion, right? A lot of issues are faced. So to avoid that, it was ruled that the person has the right to marry the person of one's own choice. But again, right to marry is not a fundamental right because you cannot go to courts and say, sir, ladki nahi mil rahi, ladki dilo. Right? Very good. Very good, Guru. Yes. Hadiya case. Very good. Done. बिना यूपीएससी निकाले कोई अपनी लड़की नहीं देगा. अच्छा, ओके खुशी, थैंक यू फॉर द नॉन सोलिसिटेड इंफॉर्मेशन. ठीक है. ओके. Again, of the very easy questions because this a lot of times the right to privacy is क्या प्यार है. Even this right to privacy was repeated at least twice to thrice in mains. तो पता नहीं, it's something very important for them. The judgment is KS Puttaswamy. By the way, fun fact: do you guys know that under the right to privacy, these guys have also included the right to be forgotten? कौन सी जजमेंट आई है रिसेंटली, पता है किसी को? राइट टू बी फॉरगॉटन. Recently, very very recent in 2025. Anyone knows? नहीं. No one. क्या होता है राइट टू बी फॉरगॉटन? What is right to be forgotten? अरे फॉरगॉटन इज भूल जाना. इंग्लिश नहीं पूछ रहा हूँ, मतलब क्या है इसमें? डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म से डेटा डिलीट करना कि आपने जो भी रजिस्ट्रेशन वगैरह करा हुआ है, दैट कैन बी डिलीटेड. वेरी गुड, वेरी गुड. कोई नहीं, sorry. So we're discussing about right to privacy, and we know that it's under Article 21. The other options are different, varied random articles, which is not the case here. So Article 14, right to इक्वालिटी से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, आर्टिकल 17 से कोई लेना देना नहीं है, 24 तो बिल्कुल ही एक्सप्लॉइटेशन से भी कोई लेना देना नहीं है, अगेन 44th amendment no relation, 42nd amendment no relation, DPSP is not much relation on privacy. Clear answer is article 21, which you could have arrived at only by the article. And then of course freedoms guaranteed in part 3, you can also talk about linking it with 19 or the freedoms in part 3, which is part 3 is fundamental rights only. So that. ठीक है, any doubts of this question? ठीक है, all right. Till 2018 prelims was easy. No, it was not easy, it was just that the competition was such. So yeah, anyway, let's quickly move on to question number 11. Again very very easy, थोड़ा match the following types मतलब भी नहीं है, but ठीक है, चलो बहुत easy है. Let's quickly get this started. Very good Priyanshu. अरे इतना इतना परेशान मत हो, वो जो राइट टू बी फॉरगॉटन है उसका एक कौशल किशोर से भी लिंक कर सकते हो, केस पुत्तस्वामी से भी कर सकते हो. अभी ऑफिशियल लीगल लेजिस्लेशन नहीं है, बट यस. Anyway, yes, okay. Which of the following are emphasized by the right against exploitation? Of course, right against exploitation. Articles 23 and 24 in the Constitution of India. Prohibition of trafficking in human beings and forced labor. Absolutely correct. Abolition of untouchability. No, this is equality. We discussed Upari, and this is also where you see the importance of PYQs. Protection of the interests of minorities. Again, no, that's 2930, which is again not a part of here. Prohibition of employment of children in factories and mines. Absolutely correct. This is Article 24. This is Article 23. We discussed women and children. याद है ना, निमोनिक में हमने याद किया था. Law removes old out, gives four clear protections, all of that, 9 freedoms, but still exploitation of women and children. Women because human beings वाला जो slavery वाला, sex slavery वगैरह वाला था, and children. So 1 and 4 becomes absolutely correct. Answer becomes option C. There has to be no doubts about it. Yes. ठीक है. डन है. चलो जल्दी से चलते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 13. Oh sorry, 12. Question number 12. Yes, very good Lipika. You can do that. एलिमिनेशन भी करता ही है. यस. आजकल नहीं आ रहे तो थोड़ा एक्सप्लेनेशन में देखना पड़ता है. Very good. Let's learn another mad thing. जिसने भी B या C answer करा है, that's completely fine because we did not read the third point in our classes. But here again, I will explain you the art of MC development. Is mad, but okay. First, in India, if a religious sector community is given the status of a national minority, what special advantages is it entitled to? It can establish and administer educational institutions exclusively. Absolutely correct. Which article? With the subclause? Quickly tell me the article with the subclause. Very good, Bhavya. Article 30, subclause 1. So this becomes absolutely correct, no doubt about it. So this goes away. Let's read statement 2. The President of India automatically nominates a representative of the community Lok Sabha. Absolutely wrong. You know, Anglo Indians का भी हुआ करता था पहले. अब तो वो भी चला गया, तो minority का तो कोई सीन ही नहीं है. We've never read this. So this becomes absolutely wrong. Let's read the last one. It can derive benefits from the Prime Minister's 15-point program. Okay, so the option between B and C. Now, we did not read this in the class. I accept that. That's perfectly fine. The problem here is कि मैथ्स में सॉल्व हो सकता था. First is talking about deriving benefits. हो सकता है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स 15-point program कुछ भी हो, but because if it's a prime minister's program, it would talk something around positive only. Positive ही होगा ना, कुछ negative तो नहीं होगा. Even if it is not specifically for minorities, हालांकि अगर वो स्पेसिफिक माइनॉरिटीज के लिए नहीं बनाया गया है, फिर भी कुछ पॉजिटिव होगा. कुछ ना कुछ वल्नरेबल सेक्शंस की बात करता होगा, फायदे की बात करता होगा, पॉजिटिव होगा ही होगा. तो अगर वो पॉजिटिव है और वो सारे डिराइव बेनिफिट्स, डिराइव मतलब उससे खींच रहा है, ये नहीं बोल रहा कि उसी से ले रहा है, उसी में अंदर जाके ले रहा है, उसी में लिखा हुआ है. इट जस्ट सेइंग उसके द्वारा. It is deriving benefits. So deriving benefits around something positive will always be positive. This will never be wrong. तो यूपीएससी में ऐसा स्टेटमेंट कभी गलत नहीं मानेंगे, क्योंकि माइनॉरिटीज जो कि पॉजिटिव सेक्शन की बात हो रही है. ठीक है, कभी भी अगर वल्नरेबल सेक्शन या पीड़ित लोग या ट्राइबल्स, माइनॉरिटीज, विमेन, चिल्ड्रन, ऐसे लोगों की बात हो, दे ऑलवेज टॉक अबाउट इट इन पॉजिटिव. एंड इफ दिस स्टेटमेंट बिकम्स रॉन्ग, देन यू आर सेइंग कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर 15-point प्रोग्राम में कोई भी माइनॉरिटी की बात नहीं होती है. अगेन, यूपीएससी never reflects anything which is governmental as negative. एक बात हमेशा याद रखेंगे, कोई भी गवर्नमेंट की चीज को हमेशा यूपीएससी पॉजिटिव दिखाएगी, और किसी भी ब्रिटिश की चीज को यूपीएससी हमेशा नेगेटिव दिखाएगी. इस बात को याद रखेंगे. इसका एक बहुत बड़ा एग्जांपल आएगा पीवाईक्यूज में, जैसे फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट. फैक्ट्रीज एक्ट में बहुत सारे पॉजिटिव चीजें हैं कि इनके वर्किंग आवर्स फिक्स करो, इनकी एज फिक्स करो, चिल्ड्रन की एज को बढ़ाओ, ऑल ऑफ दिस. बट स्टिल व्हेनेवर यूपीएससी आस्क्स अ क्वेश्चन ऑन फैक्ट्री एक्ट, हमेशा नेगेटिव लाइट में आंसर था. और कभी भी अगर गवर्नमेंट की कोई चीज पूछे तो हमेशा पॉजिटिव होता है. इसको बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट मैथ टेक्निक है, इसको याद रखेंगे, उससे ये आंसर हो जाता. एंड द आंसर कम्स ऑप्शन सी, 1 and 3 ओनली. समझ में आया? डिड यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस? Very good. Let's move to question number 13, which is on your screens from 2006 right now. Consider the following statements. Of the statements are correct. Free and compulsory education to the children of 6 to 14 years age group by the state was made a fundamental right by the 76th Amendment to the Constitution of India. Is this correct or wrong? If it is wrong, why? If it is wrong, why? because it was done by the 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002. RTE, Right to Education Act, came in 2009. And 86th Constitutional Amendment से 3 changes हुए थे. क्या क्या हुए थे? क्या क्या 3 changes हुए थे? quickly बता दो. 86th Constitutional Amendment Act 2002 से. तो 76 नहीं है, 86 था. This goes. So 1 and 2 goes away. Let's read 2 and 3 and अच्छा 1 also goes away. So answer clearly is 2 and 3 आएगी elimination से. But we'll also read the other 2. But yes, quickly tell me. पहला change था Article 21A. Very good. Article 21A was nothing but the first statement added in the fundamental rights. ठीक है. Second, very good. DPSPs में Article 45, क्योंकि पहले DPSPs में लिखा हुआ था 6 to 14 का एज ग्रुप, बट अब क्योंकि हमने फंडामेंटल राइट बना दिया तो यहाँ से इसको हमने कर दिया 0 to 6. वेरी गुड. एंड लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट वाज फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज इज आर्टिकल 51A के. ठीक है. इसमें बोला गया कि पेरेंट्स, अच्छा 51A के में एज ग्रुप कितना था जल्दी बताओ. 51A के में एज ग्रुप कितना था? The age group was very good 6 to 14. Why? Because rights are correlative with duties. So rights में भी 6 to 14 था, duty में भी 6 to 14 था for the parent or guardian. And now because rights are done, so DPSPs में was 0 to 6, which was early childhood care and education. Very good. Let's see the second. Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan seeks to provide computer education even in rural areas. We do not know. Just अगर ये पता हो कि सर्व शिक्षा अभियान कुछ पॉजिटिव चीज है, अभियान है, सरकार का होगा, सम योजना, सम अभियान, सम इनिशिएटिव, सम प्रोग्राम. सर्व शिक्षा means all की शिक्षा के लिए, for all the education. Seeks to provide computer education in rural areas. You know the computer education is positive. Rural areas becomes even more positive. So this has to be correct. So even if you do not know कि सर्व शिक्षा अभियान में क्या होता है, still something positive for the vulnerable sections becomes absolutely correct by MAD. So second statement is correct. Third, education was included in the Congress by the 42nd Amendment 1976 to the Constitution. This is absolutely correct. Please learn this as an important fact also. किसी को याद है ऐसे 3 चीजें थी जो 42nd Amendment में चेंज हुई थी, कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट में आई थी, फॉर ऑब्वियस रीजंस स्टेट लिस्ट से ही आई होंगी, क्योंकि 42nd Amendment की बात हो रही है. वी यूज्ड टू कॉल इट द नॉटी अमेंडमेंट, है ना? वी यूज्ड टू कॉल इट द नॉटी अमेंडमेंट. तो ऑब्वियसली इट वुड हैव मूव्ड फ्रॉम state list to the concurrent list. What were the 3 things? One was of course education. Second one becomes forests and wildlife. Very good. Third, नहीं पता किसी को भी. थर्ड, स्टैंडर्ड्स, वेट्स एंड मेजर्स, ये सब था. ठीक है. Very good. So the answer becomes option C, 2 and 3 only. ठीक है. Good job guys. Any doubts? Otherwise we'll move on to the next one. Yes, it is known as the mini constitution. All right. Good job. Let's quickly move on to question 14. We are nearing the end on 22nd question. Question number 14 from 2005 on your screens now. इसलिए बोला जाता है कि बहुत ध्यान से क्वेश्चंस को पढ़ेंगे. आई डोंट नो व्हाई देयर आर सो मेनी आंसर्स दैट आई एम सीइंग इन क्वेश्चन नंबर 14. देयर इज नॉट अ सिंगल थिंग दैट वी हैव नॉट डिस्कस्ड. एनीवे, Article 301 pertains to the freedom of trade. This is absolutely correct. Article 308 talks about right to property. And then 301, we've read this a lot of times when we're reading other rights apart from the rights mentioned in the fundamental rights in the Constitution. So you have right to freedom of trade, and then interstate trade, and then commerce, and then intercourse and everything. So this becomes absolutely correct, no doubt about it. Right to property is a legal right, but not a fundamental right. Already a previous question that we've discussed. I don't know. See, again, this is the power of PYQs. कितनी बार repeat हो गया ये, है ना? As it is a statement, repeat हुआ. Last but not the least, Article 300A, which was around the right to property, was inserted in the Constitution of India by the Congress government in the center by the 44th Constitutional Amendment. ये तो बिल्कुल सही है, 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. But 44th Constitutional Amendment Act was against the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, and 42nd came in by Indira Gandhi ji, which was the Congress government, and 44th came in by the first non-Congress government by the Morarji Desai. ये तो सबको पता है कि 42nd के सारे wrongdoings को 44th ने reverse किया था. Similar was the case here. 44th inserted this. So of course it was not the Congress government, but the Morarji Desai government. So Congress goes away, and once you cut 3, the answer becomes A, 1 and 2 only. I don't know why all of us were marking anything else, which was the Janta government. Anything I don't know. But क्या doubt था इसमें, कोई बताएगा मेरे को और इसके अलावा? इसलिए हर वर्ड को हमको बहुत ही बारीकी से और फिक्र से उसको पढ़ना है. We have to read every and each and every word in a lot of detail. What was the confusion, guys? Why were we not arriving at the right answer? ये तो बहुत ही इजी है यार. अब इसमें मैचिंग ये नहीं दे रहा मैं. आई एम नॉट गिविंग यू द ऑप्शंस. खुद बनाना अपना ABCD के ऑर्डर में 2 1 3 4 1 2 3 4 2 1 4 3 है ये, क्योंकि बहुत ही आसान क्वेश्चन है, तो इसमें ऑप्शंस देने की जरूरत ही नहीं है ना. चलो चैट बॉक्स में टाइप करेंगे बट ABCD के ऑर्डर में क्या क्या है. ठीक है. Okay, Article 14, right to equality. The state shall not deny to any person equality before the law, the equal protection laws in the territory of India, which becomes Article 14. तो A का क्या हो गया? 2. Article 15 talks about law removes all doubt. D से discrimination. तो the state shall not discriminate against any religion on grounds of. किसी को याद है उसकी इसकी शॉर्ट फॉर्म की किस किस ग्राउंड्स पर डिस्क्रिमिनेट नहीं कर सकता? We discussed in the class, right? हमने क्लास में याद कराया था. आर्टिकल 15 और आर्टिकल 16. 15 के ग्राउंड और 16 के ग्राउंड बताओ. पहले 15 की बताओ जल्दी से. एक निमोनिक से याद किया था हमने. वेरी गुड. CRISP, CRRSP. Caste, religion, race, sex and place of birth. Religion, race, caste, sex and place of birth. और 16 में CRISP प्लस क्या वर्ड था वो? वेरी गुड, डॉक्टर, विच इज DR. DR क्या मतलब हुआ? D फॉर एंड R फॉर डिसेंट एंड रेजिडेंस. ठीक है, चलो वेरी गुड. तो आर्टिकल 15 का ये डिस्क्रिमिनेट वाला हो गया, विच विल बिकम स्टेटमेंट नंबर 1. आर्टिकल 16, 14, 15, 16, 16, 14, 15, 16, 17, लॉ DO. O मतलब अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन एम्प्लॉयमेंट, राइट? There shall be a equality of opportunity for employment or appointment under the state, becomes 4. And last but not the least, DOUT. U is untouchability. Untouchability is abolished and its practice is forbidden. 2 1 4 3. So A 2, B 1, C 4, D 3, and the option becomes 143 is option number C for question number 50. Very easy, without me. Let's move on to the 16th question on your screens now. अरे यार बहुत easy है. Of course, 2003 question has to be easy. वेरी इजी, पता ही चल रहा है कि मतलब एक ही फंडामेंटल राइट है 24, कोई इशू भी नहीं है. 45 इज, जल्दी बता दो 45 क्या है. जल्दी बता दो यार. 45 क्या है? अरे डीपी मेरे भाई डीपीएसपी है क्या? वेरी गुड, वी जस्ट डिस्कस्ड इट. अर्ली चाइल्डहुड केयर एंड एजुकेशन, टॉकिंग अबाउट 0 to 6 years. 330, I'm assuming you won't know, it's related to SC and ST reservation in the parliament for seats. That's okay, no worries. Article 368, every one of you must know, constitutional amendment. So article 24 ही बचता है. No child with age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in other activities of employment. While we were discussing this, मैंने आपको इसका फाइनल स्टेटस बताया था. कोई मेरे को याद दिला सकता है फाइनल स्टेटस की 3 कैटेगरीज क्या क्या थी? 1, 2 and 3. Because I'm explaining this because this is also acting as a source of revision for fundamental rights. So let's just discuss this quickly. Final status क्या था आर्टिकल 24 का? कोई भी नहीं बता पा रहा? चलो अब बता दो. Very good. No work for children below or equal to 14 years of age except 2 places. The 2 places being family business, which is non-hazardous, and the second being media audio visual industry, है ना, सिनेमा वगैरह. अब इस फैमिली बिजनेस में भी you can only work on two conditions. One, either you are on a vacation or you're working after the school hours. Why? Because it's article 21 is saying 6 to 14 years compulsory education. तो यहाँ पे 14 years, यहाँ पे भी 14 years. So that is why only either in vacation or after school once you're done with your free and compulsory education is a fundamental right. Second, 14 to 18, work except hazardous. You cannot work in hazardous industries. We also did the MC Mehta case, the MC Mehta versus Tamil Nadu case, Shivakasi area, firecracker industry, all of this discussed in the class. Last but not the least, more than 18, you can do all work. Right? इसमें कोई रोक नहीं है. Yes? सबको याद है? We also discussed why this was 14 because we had to match all of this. सब याद आ रहा है ना धीरे धीरे? Very good. Good job, guys. Let's move on to question number 17. Again, very easy question. चलो इसको भी आप खुद ही मैच कर लो. तो सिंपल वालों में से एक है, तो मैं इसके लिए टाइमर स्टार्ट कर देता हूँ. मेरे को ऑर्डर बता देना खुद ही से. आर्टिकल 16 बहुत बार डिस्कस कर लिया। Opportunity in employment, this becomes your article 16. So 2 आर्टिकल 31(1) प्रॉपर्टी के अराउंड था जिसको हमने एलिमिनेट किया, which was amended to include in 300A. So again, no person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of law. This was now article 300A, so this also becomes 1. A lot of people have faced mistakes here in 29 and 30 clause 1. अच्छे से पढ़ेंगे, थोड़ा ध्यान लगा के, और फिर इसको हम डिस्कस करेंगे। Article 29 and Article 30, all minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the fundamental right to establish and administer education of their choice. आपको याद होगा कि मैंने 10 बार डिस्कस किया था that it is Article 30 which first talks about the word minorities. Article 29 में section of citizens है, तो अगर minorities की बात हो रही है तो all minorities, again religion or language would be Article 30. So this would be 3. So C का 3 होगा, right? इसमें कोई डाउट ही नहीं होना चाहिए था. And then this of course becomes your 4. Article 29, no citizen shall be denied admission into an education institution maintained by the state or receiving state on the grounds of behavior. A lot of people did the answers as 2, 3, 4, 1, but the answer would be 2, 4, 3, 1. सबको समझ में आया क्यों? और इतने कॉन्फिडेंस से सबने टाइप किया था आंसर कि मैं ही कंफ्यूज हो गया था, है ना? बट ऑफ कोर्स 30 में माइनॉरिटीज पहली बार मेंशन हो तो 30 में आएगा. Yes or no? So the answer would be 2, 4, 3, 1. पता नहीं किस कॉन्फिडेंस से सबने टाइप कर दिया, एक या तो एक ने टाइप कर दिया और सबने कर दिया, आई डोंट नो, बट यू हैव टू बी वेरी वेरी केयरफुल. Two, 4, 3, 1 for question number 17. So the answer becomes option A. ठीक है, 2, 3, 4, 1 में भी ऑप्शन में था, आपको कंफ्यूज करने के लिए यूपीएससी ने डाला हुआ था. ठीक है ना? अब क्वेश्चन 18 तो बहुत ही इजी है, इसको जल्दी से कर लेते हैं. इसके अलावा क्या क्या बोला गया है ये भी टाइप कर देना ताकि टाइम का जस्टिफिकेशन हो एटलीस्ट. So you have 1 minute for both the questions combined. ठीक है, दोनों क्वेश्चन कंबाइंड के लिए है 1 minute. Question 18 reads, "None of the following rights are established by Dr. B. Ambedkar, the heart and soul of the Constitution." ये कहता है Indian Constitution, right to equality is guaranteed by 5 rights. Which of them are the 5 rights? दोनों क्वेश्चंस के लिए 1 मिनट है, उसको कर लो. 10 सेकंड और एक्स्ट्रा दे दूंगा, बट आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी नीड फॉर इट. Ten more seconds. बहुत ही सिंपल है. Which of the following is described by B. R. Ambedkar as heart and soul? क्या बोला था उन्होंने? Very heart and very soul. तो very heart and soul. Second, we also call it as the backbone. All of this was done to Article 32, which is the right to constitutional remedies. We also discussed how Article 32 protects itself also. So Article 12 to 32. मैंने क्वेश्चन दिया था, उसमें ऑप्शंस दी थी 14 to 32, 14 to 35, 12 to 35. All of you went wrong, and the answer was Article 12 to 32, including 32. It also protects 32, because if 32 is not protected, then there's no point of 32 itself, right? Again, that being said, constitutional remedies. इसके अलावा एक क्वेश्चन बताओ, which right is called as the bedrock of the Constitution of India? Which article is known as the bedrock of the Constitution of India? Very good. Article 21. Not wasting any further time, quickly move on to question 19. The right to equality is granted by 5 articles. They are Article 14 to Article 18. Already discussed the classifications in this very class. I don't think we need to go in there. 19 talks about right to freedom, 20 to protection, 23-24 against exploitation, 25 to 28 is this, and 29-30 is cultural and educational rights, 25 to 28 is religious rights, and before that you have right to equality on 14 to 18. Question 20, a very easy one. Question 20, a very easy one. The Constitution of India recognizes which among the following? And your timer starts now. A very simple one. Constitution recognizes religious and linguistic minorities. अभी 2 मिनट पहले डिस्कस करा. आर्टिकल बता दो जल्दी से. आर्टिकल बता दो मेरे को जल्दी से. Article 30, subclause 1, talking about minorities, whether religious or linguistic. So Constitution recognizes only 2 kinds of minorities. Article 29 nowhere mentions minorities except in its heading and talks about any section of citizens. So Article 30 clause 1, religious and linguistic minorities only. There's no kind of ethnic minority being recognized, only religious and only linguistic bhi nahi hai. Second last question for the day. Question 21, a British citizen staying in India cannot claim the right to. A good question. Not, of course, easy because you've done it so many times in the classes, but a good question. अगर ब्रिटिश सिटीजन है तो मतलब इंडियन सिटीजन नहीं है. क्यों नहीं है? If someone is a British citizen, it does not mean that they are Indian citizen. Why cannot they be an Indian citizen if they are British citizen? Why can they not be an Indian citizen if they are a British citizen? Because of the concept of single citizenship in India. Which article talks about single citizenship in India, or that prohibition of dual citizenship? Yeah, which article talks about that? Very good, very good. Article 9. Good job, guys. So now, because if they're a British citizen, they're not an Indian citizen, and you're talking about the rights, all of these seem to be fundamental rights. So we remember one phone number जो हमने याद किया था, 15, 16, 18 subclause 2, 19, 29, and 30. All of these we called as positive rights, which are available to citizens only. So we have to identify which is amongst them is a right which is available to citizen only, by virtue of which it will not be available to the British citizen. Freedom of trade and profession is article, और exact बताना सब clause वगैरह के साथ. Trade and profession becomes which article? P. the Marti, I just said, tell me the exact article with the subclause. Very good, guys. So Article 19, subclause 1, subclause G. And you see 19 here, you see 19 here. So your answer becomes option A. As a thumb rule in polity, we'll never go with the A unless we've read all the other options. Equality before law, Article 14, applicable to everyone because it's not in the list. Protection of life and personal liberty, Article 21, again not in the list. Freedom of religion, Articles 25 to 28, again none of which is in the list. So this goes, and this stays. All of these become available to British citizens as well. All right, good application-based question, although very easy now. Last question for the day from Fundamental Rights from 1995. Very easy again. Quickly get started. See the pattern they've been repeating from 1995. Similar kinds of questions. Timer starts now. Prohibition of discrimination grounds of religion. Article 15 of the Constitution is a fundamental classified under. 14 to 18 is equality. Did this at least thrice to four times. So the answer would be D. क्योंकि यहाँ पे 15 लिखा हुआ है. अगर 15 नहीं लिखा होता, I'm pretty sure that some students would have confused on the basis of religion. Religion देखते हो, religion मारते, and the answer would have been A in this case. Again, another trick which UPSC usually employs, that A देखते ही answer करते हैं. That is why they put freedom of religion सबसे ऊपर. जबकि आप देखोगे order ही पूरा अलग है. Religion, exploitation, fundamentalist, equality. Equality सबसे ऊपर आना चाहिए, but they did not put it because otherwise you would have marked the answer as A and go. But they wanted to trick you, and that's another example of how, if A is the answer, you should always check, right? But here Article 15 was clearly mentioned. This becomes, also see how classification में हमेशा 14 से 18 ही पूछ रहे हैं. इससे ऊपर भी 14 से 18 पूछा, उससे ऊपर भी 14 से 18 पूछा. This is the power of PYQs. They keep on repeating. That is why we ask you to do them continuously. With this, we're done with the 22 questions for today. मजा आया? अब अपना स्कोर बताएंगे सब आउट ऑफ 22. टाइप योर स्कोर्स इन द चैट बॉक्स आउट ऑफ 22. Two wrong, one skip. 20 out of 22. 18, 20, 20, 21. Very good, Kansha. Very good, Sonu. 21. Kef, very good. 21. Shalini, 21. Okay. जिन जिनके भी 21 है, कौन सा गलत किया आप लोगों ने? 1432 वाला गलत किया था क्या एप्लीकेशन फ्लो वाला? सौम्य also 21. Very good. No one 22. कौन सा क्वेश्चन गलत हुआ आप लोगों का? Very good, लाइवा 22. 22 out of 20 नहीं, लाइवा उल्टा होता है. 20 out of 22. So not very good. सेकेंड क्वेश्चन गलत हुआ था. सेकेंड क्वेश्चन क्या था? अच्छा, मैंडमस वाला. ठीक है यार, बट हमने क्लास में डिस्कस कर रहा था, बट कोई बात नहीं. यूपीएससी की भी गलती है थोड़ी सी. दैट्स ओके. ओके आकांक्षा. क्वेश्चन 2. दैट्स फाइन देन. दैट्स फाइन. All right. Good job, guys. Proud of all of you. I hope you utilize the Sunday for revision as well. And this is sorted. Very good. So all your PYQs around fundamental rights are done. And I am hereby closing your fundamental rights. Not yet, but after one thing, which is let's take up one mains question. Copies and pens ready? Copies and pens ready? अब दो क्वेश्चन है, दो क्वेश्चन है, एक थोड़ा एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड है और एक इजी है. ठीक है, एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड है, एक इजी है. एक होमवर्क में दूंगा और एक क्लास में कराऊंगा. तो कौन सा होमवर्क में चाहिए और कौन सा क्लास में चाहिए जल्दी से बता दो. डू यू वांट टू डू द एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड राइट नाउ, डू यू वांट टू डू द इजी वन राइट नाउ? इजी वन फॉर होमवर्क. अभी इजी करना है, एप्लीकेशन करना है, इजी करना है यार. अब इस चीज का पोल नहीं होगा. ठीक है, तो अभी थोड़ा सा एप्लीकेशन बेस्ड ले लेते हैं एंड देन विल गिव द इजी वन फॉर द होमवर्क. ठीक है, डन. नो वरीज. Of course it's a PYQ. The PYQ says the Constitution of India, you see मतलब Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. Is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for a progressive society. Illustrate with special reference to the expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty. You've tried it for 15 marks into 50 words. Already आप लोगों को पता है कैसे क्या करना होता है, right? अभी कर लें, अभी कर लें. Should I start the timer? As always, we'll give you 15 minutes. Don't worry about the time apart from the 15 minutes का length. ठीक है. Intro, body, conclusion. मैं बीच में कुछ नहीं बोलूंगा, थोड़ा सा अपना कर लेना. क्या हिंट देना है खुशी? कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में इज अ लिविंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट, आपको विद कैपेबिलिटीज ऑफ इनॉर्मस डायनामिज्म. इनॉर्मस डायनामिज्म मतलब जो हमने फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी अराउंड द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की बात करी हुई है ना, कि कैसे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन डायनामिक है. इट इज अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन मेड फॉर अ प्रोग्रेसिव सोसाइटी, कि सोसाइटी प्रोग्रेसिव हो रही है इसलिए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनी है. उसको आप अगेन लिंक करोगे हाउ इट इज लिविंग. So this is the first part of the question. Now it is saying illustrate this with special reference to the expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty की आर्टिकल 21 की बात हो रही है. आर्टिकल 21 कैसे इवॉल्व हुआ है उसके रेफरेंस में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लिविंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट. तो 15 मार्क की है तो दो तीन हेडिंग बनेंगी. पहली हेडिंग बनेगी लिविंग इंस्ट्रूमेंट विद कैपेबिलिटीज, उसमें तीन चार एग्जांपल डालोगे, फिर डालोगे स्पेशल रेफरेंस टू आर्टिकल 21 एंड देन यू विल गिव द इवोल्यूशन ऑफ आर्टिकल 21 एंड कंक्लूड बाय लिंकिंग बोथ एंड अ फ्यूचरिस्टिक कंक्लूजन. ओके देते हैं, नो वरीज, बट स्टिल अगर आप ट्राई कर सकते हो तो कर लो. ठीक है. ऑन दैट नोट आई विल गिव यू द टाइमर फॉर 15 मिनट्स. टाइम स्टार्ट्स नाउ. Last 5 minutes left. Last 3 minutes. One last minute. All right, time up. The Constitution of India is a living instrument with capabilities of enormous dynamism. It is a constitution made for a progressive society. अब क्योंकि ये पहला statement है, although the primary question is around Article 21, but since this is the first statement, we need to address it. The ideal way to address it would be in the introduction itself. We'll follow the intro, body, conclusion format, and we'll take up the introduction as the first line, which is enormous dynamism and living document and मेड फॉर अ प्रोग्रेसिव सोसाइटी. अब उसके लिए दो तीन टाइप की इंट्रोडक्शन हो सकती है. कीवर्ड बेस्ड स्टार्ट कर देंगे. अगर इफ यू वांट टू डू कीवर्ड बेस्ड, यू कैन टॉक अबाउट हाउ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया वाज envisioned as a transformative document, right? Envisioned as a transformative document which evolves dynamically. Now of course it says evolves dynamically, so evolves dynamically. Now you can say how or why, right? How evolves dynamically. अभी कैसे डायनेमिकली इवॉल्व हो रहा है, सीधा सीधा आप इंट्रोडक्शन इसको एड्रेस कर दो. थ्रू फर्स्ट जुडिशियल इंटरप्रिटेशन, इन सेकंड टू एड्रेस द प्रोग्रेस ऑफ द सोसाइटी. ये जो प्रोग्रेस ऑफ द सोसाइटी वाला रीजन आ जाएगा, दिस विल आल्सो एक्सप्लेन द फर्स्ट पार्ट ऑफ द फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट, जिसमें वो प्रोग्रेस ऑफ द सोसाइटी की बात ही करता है. पहला, वरना हमने इसको डिस्कस किया अबाउट डीपनिंग ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी, हाउ द डीपनिंग ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी increases the demands and aspirations of people, which the constitution as a document has to reflect upon. So this can be a first way of introduction, talking about how the constitution is transformative document and envisioned as a transformative document, evolves dynamically through judicial interpretation and societal progress. That's first way. Second, you can also use Article 21 की definition or exact keywords and talk about how or what Article 21 is. That Article 21, no person shall be deprived of life and personal liberty except in procedure established by, except according to procedures established by law, has become the bedrock of the Constitution of India. Even this can just be the introduction to Article 21 definition and then bedrock to the Constitution of India. Then you can say that Supreme Court has repeatedly learned that Constitution of India is a living document and all of that. You can use those overtones to meet the needs, demands, ideas, and aspirations because of deepening of democracy, right? This can be the first and the second type of introduction. The third type of introduction could directly be context setting from current affairs. जैसे कि अभी हमने क्या डिस्कस किया था सबसे recent? Article 21 is constantly expanding to include the societal progress so that the constitution becomes dynamically evolved and is a living document, a true reflection of the progress of the society. For example, recently, the right to be forgotten was included under Article 21A by the Kaushal Kishore case. Now, in that Kaushal Kishore case, right to be forgotten के लिए आप लिख सकते हो दो तीन कीवर्ड, जैसे कि as a part of digital dignity and reputation, right? So, right to be forgotten as a part of digital dignity and reputation under Article 21 ब्रैकेट में केस कौशल किशोर केस. ठीक है, डन. इंट्रोडक्शन समझ में आ गया? यस और नो लिख दो जल्दी से. ठीक है डेविड, दैट्स आल्सो फाइन, नो वरीज. ठीक है, अब 15 मार्कर है तो दो तीन हेडिंग बनेंगी. पहली हेडिंग में लिविंग डॉक्यूमेंट में वो जितनी भी लेंथी है, मी नीड्स एंड एस्पिरेशंस को मीट करता है, डीपनिंग जो भी है, मतलब जो आपने इंट्रोडक्शन में लिखा वो सारे आप लिविंग के दो तीन चार पॉइंट में लिख दोगे. एंड नाउ कम्स योर मेन बॉडी का सेकंड हेडिंग, व्हिच इज इवॉल्विंग ऑफ आर्टिकल 21, मतलब एक्सपैंडिंग. एग्जैक्ट हेडिंग ना हमेशा क्वेश्चन से उठाएंगे. सो the heading would be expanding horizons of the right to life and personal liberty. Second heading, expanding horizons of right to life and personal liberty. ये heading बनी और अब इसमें pointers आने शुरू हो जाएंगे. So you'll start from the most basic. You can, the main heading can be the judicial expansion. ठीक है, पहली heading आप डाल दो judicial expansion, मतलब सब heading होगी of Article 21. सब अपने जल्दी जल्दी से cases लिखने शुरू कर दो और ऑर्डर में लिखेंगे हमेशा, है ना. यस, यू कैन ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद द कोट आल्सो, शेख, दैट्स ओके, बट हमेशा ऑर्डर में लिखेंगे करेंगे. इवोल्यूशन को जल्दी जल्दी लिखना. बताओ सम एनी रैंडम 5-6 केसेस. सो वी कैन ऑलवेज स्टार्ट विद मेनका गांधी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया 1978. मेनका गांधी वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया के आगे लिख दो ड्यू प्रोसेस ऑफ लॉ एंड देन ऑल्सो राइट अबाउट जस्ट, आर्बिट्ररी एंड फेयर. ये 3 चीजें बताई थी ना हमने, ड्यू प्रोसेस, फेयरनेस, रीजनेबलनेस एंड जस्ट. जस्ट, फेयर एंड रीजनेबल, आर्बिट्रेरी नहीं, नॉन आर्बिट्रेरी या फिर रीजनेबल. सो जस्ट, फेयर, रीजनेबल एंड ड्यू प्रोसेस, ऐसे डैश डैश करके लिखते रहेंगे. वेरी गुड. फिर फ्रांसिस कोरेल मुलिन केस, उसमें क्या, राइट टू लिव विद डिग्निटी, राइट टू हैव अ चॉइस. ये हो गया जी फ्रांसिस कोरेल. थर्ड आप लिख दो ओल्गा टेलिस, शेल्टर, लाइवलीहुड. देन वन केस वी डिड नॉट डिस्कस, राइट टू एजुकेशन के लिए याद कर लो, उन्नी कृष्णन जजमेंट थी एक, उन्नी कृष्णन 1993. दिस वाज इन रिलेशन टू राइट टू एजुकेशन, जो हमने आर्टिकल 21A में ऐड करा बाद में. देन एक कॉमन कॉज वर्सेस यूनियन ऑफ इंडिया हमने डिस्कस किया था 2018 लेटेस्ट वाला, व्हिच वाज द कांसेप्ट ऑफ लिविंग विल. याद है ना सबको, कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ लिविंग विल एंड परमानेंट वेजिटेटिव स्टेट. डू वी ऑल रिमेंबर? यस. देन यू कैन आल्सो इंक्लूड KS Puttaswamy, privacy. Then Navtej Singh Johar talking about living with choice, which is decriminalization of homosexuality. Homosexuality किसमें आता था? Erstwhile section 377 of IPC. पहले IPC से था, तो erstwhile section 377 of IPC को decriminalization of homosexuality, है ना? ठीक है. और क्या क्या है आप इसमें और भी डाल सकते हो. पहले तो जुडिशियल एक्सपेंशन, सेकंड अदर एग्जांपल्स एंड रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स. उसमें क्या क्या आ जाएगा जो मैंने रंजीत सिंह का बताया था, राइट टू बी फ्री फ्रॉम एडवर्स इफेक्ट्स ऑफ क्लाइमेट चेंज, रंजीत सिंह. देन राइट टू रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑटोनॉमी, 21 में मेंस का क्वेश्चन आया था, डीएनए टेस्टिंग, तो राइट टू रिप्रोडक्टिव ऑटोनॉमी था, उसमें एक्स वर्सेस कोई केस था. देन राइट टू मैरी अ पर्सन ऑफ ओन चॉइस, राइट अगेंस्ट. इसमें आप ये भी लिख सकते हो फिर कि थर्ड लिख दो, हाउ जुडिशरी इज आल्सो मेकिंग लॉज, है ना, फॉर आर्टिकल 20, जैसे कि एग्जाम्पल हो जाएगा सबसे बड़ा विशाखा गाइडलाइंस. फिर विशाखा गाइडलाइंस जब आई 1990, जब 1997 आई थिंक, सो 1997 के बाद वी केम आउट विद द प्रिवेंशन ऑफ सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट ऑफ वुमेन इन वर्कप्लेस इन 2013. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस कैन बी रिटन. उसके अलावा जब ये मेन हो जाए, इसको आप और क्या क्या ऐड कर सकते हो. दीज वर जस्ट जजमेंट. यू कैन ऐड कमिटीज, सो यू कैन ऐड जस्टिस वर्मा कमिटी. जस्टिस वर्मा कमिटी में क्या हुआ था, it strengthened the bodily integrity under article 21, है ना. So you can add justice Verma committee. Then you can also add law commission recommendations. इसके लिए कौन सी law commission थी? There was the 277th law commission which was debating around the right to die. तो जो common law वाला common cause versus union of India वाला केस था, 277th law report ने भी इसकी बात करी. Then of course you can bring in constituent assembly debates. तो हमने क्या क्या और अलग लाए, सबसे पहले हम लाए लॉ कमिटी, फिर एक लाए कमिटी लॉ कमीशन, फिर एक कमिटी लाई जिस वाज जस्टिस कमिटी, एंड लास्ट टाइम टॉकिंग अबाउट द कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली डिबेट्स, है ना. इट्स नॉट जस्ट अबाउट जजमेंट. कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली डिबेट्स में भी देयर आर अंबेडकर, द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल लीगल एडवाइजर BN Rao, ऑल ऑफ दीज आल्सो एनविजन द प्रोग्रेसिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन अडैप्टेबल टू फ्यूचर नीड्स. तो यहां पे सीधा सिर्फ कीवर्ड्स मेंशन करके लिख दो, प्रोग्रेसिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की उन्होंने बात करी थी. सो ऑल ऑफ दिस विल बिकम अ पार्ट ऑफ योर मेन बॉडी. नहीं Priyanshu, this is the difference. You have to make it, you have to segregate it and make headings around it. MC Mehta case, very good, you can write that, very good. And last what would come would be the conclusion. Conclusion में सिर्फ keywords include करना है, या तो recent judgment, अगर आपने right to be forgotten include उस intro में लिखा तो conclusion में लिख दो that recent this and then this will continue to happen, या फिर keywords based conclusion जैसे constitutional morality type. तो you can write that article 21 exemplifies living constitutionalism, है ना. closes the gap between, closes formalism. formalism क्या था, gap between ideal and reality, तो वो भी close करता है by being transformative. तो closes formalism. तो ऐसे 3-4 कीवर्ड आप इंक्लूड कर सकते हो. we can talk about how through judicial creativity and socio-legal freedoms, ऐसे या socio-legal innovation and judicial creativity, you are transforming the constitution into a charter of substantive human freedoms. charter of substantive human freedoms. constitution को you're now making it a substantive charter of substantive human freedoms by judicial creativity and socio-legal innovations. ना ऐसे 3-4 कीवर्ड, इसमें से कोई भी एक लिख दो. and you can also end it on the note that this dynamism must be rooted in, or this dynamism must be anchored by constitutional morality, rightful jurisprudence, ऐसे ऐसे कीवर्ड्स. तो constitutional morality, rights based governance, है ना. राइट्स बेस्ड गवर्नेंस, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोरालिटी, और क्या सोच सकते हो jurisprudence के अराउंड एम्पैथेटिक jurisprudence. एम्पैथेटिक jurisprudence क्या हुआ कि आज की सोसाइटी की नीड्स को करते हुए जुडिशरी रूल करे. तो एम्पैथेटिक ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस, इनमें से कोई भी एक आध कीवर्ड यूज करके आप कंक्लूड कर सकते हो, या फिर सो दिस वाज द कीवर्ड बेस्ड कंक्लूजन, और द लास्ट टाइप ऑफ कंक्लूजन कुड बी जैसे कि राइट टू बी फॉरगॉटन था कि ये सब हो रहा है और ये एक्सपैंड होता रहेगा अकॉर्डिंग टू द नीड्स एंड डिमांड्स एंड टाइम्स ऑफ द सोसाइटी, thus envisioning the constitution as a transformative living document. समझ में आ गया? अब इससे बेटर मॉडल आंसर तो हम नहीं प्रोवाइड कर सकते, तो जो जो हमने बोला वो लिख लो, वो मॉडल आंसर बन गया. तो आई रियली फेल टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई ऑल ऑफ यू आर क्राइंग, देयर इज अ ह्यू एंड क्राई ऑन नीड इन द मॉडल आंसर. दिस इज योर मॉडल आंसर, जस्ट राइट देम नाउ. बहुत तेज लगा तो रिकॉर्डिंग आ जाएगी 3-4 घंटे में, उसको देख लो, है ना. अब इससे ज्यादा क्या करेगा कोई, ठीक है. Done every part of this question? Yes, you can always send your answers in the subgroup, Priyanshu, and then peers can review it and suggest things, and you can also learn from others' answers. So the Constitution is a living instrument, capabilities of normal time, the Constitution made for progressive society, aimed at risk, lessons of justice, find and rising the right life and personal liberty. Yes, yes, you can, Soumya. Very easily you can. I also mentioned that common cause wala case, है ना. मजा आया? समझ में आ रही हैं चीजें, बेटर हो रही हैं? आर वी बेटरिंग और नॉट? यस दिखना चाहिए मुझे अब बस. Yes, Sonu. Yes, you have to do that. That is why we did an introduction. Did that in the introduction. Very good. Very good. Sure. Preferably Srushti, because it's a 15 marker. So preferably yes. Very good. Maza aa gaya? Very good. Chalo. Chalo. Homework for the day. A very easy question. The question is on your screen. Please write it down. Fundamental rights under the Indian Constitution are not absolute. Fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution are not absolute. Discuss the limitations placed on fundamental rights. Discuss the limitations placed on fundamental rights. A 10 marker for 150 words. So you'll have to write 1.5 to 2 pages, 1 page, and then uske backside 1.75 or 1.5 pages, right? फोटो ले लेता है यार, वरना ग्रुप पे बोलेंगे होमवर्क नहीं डाला. Done. Very good, Rishikesh. Done. Fundamental rights in the Constitution are not absolute. Discuss the limitations placed on fundamental rights. And with this, we come to an end of today's class. I really hope, pray that fundamental rights is done, dusted, and sorted for you all. Please keep revising. We'll see you in the class tomorrow, and we'll start with directive principles of state policy. So your homework for tomorrow would be. एक तो ये क्वेश्चन हो गया, और बन गया भाई. यस, एक तो ये क्वेश्चन हो गया. Revise fundamental rights, and third and most important, learn all the DPSPs and fundamental duties. Learn all the DPSPs and फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज सारे पढ़कर आएंगे, सारे याद कर आएंगे. तो प्रायोरिटी ऑर्डर में सबसे पहले करेंगे. इसमें 2 घंटे लगेंगे एटलीस्ट, क्योंकि पूरी रटने को बोल रहा हूँ मैं. तो एटलीस्ट 2 घंटे लगेंगे. सारी डीपीएसपीज, सारी फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज विद आर्टिकल नंबर्स, विद वर्ड्स वी विल लर्न. प्लीज मेक श्योर दैट यू गाइस डू दिस, लर्न by heart, and then do this, which is the question, and then do this. Okay, done. On that note, I'll take your leave. Thank you for joining in. Have a good day ahead. Bye bye. See you.